Hey guys, I want to talk about in this video the difference between a narcissistic injury, a narcissistic collapse, and what narcissistic abuse is in conjunction with these ideas. I think this is an important topic that people don't really talk about, and it's something that I want to bring up because I think it helps understand, empathize with the narcissist, which is a superpower, and if you went through a narcissistic collapse or you think it was one, maybe helping you understand. Typically someone who's looking into being a narcissist, they're worried about if they are one. It's kind of like one of those things where the proof is in the pudding. Like, I'm worried I'm not a good father. You know, am I a good father? That question answered the question, right? So, having said that, there are caveats, and that's the point of this video. And again, this is how I understand it, and this is, again, I'm trying to frame this in a way that is helpful, and hopefully they can help give some clarity to somebody who is not sure if they're a good person or not, and just kind of spitballing some ideas here. So, how do you know if you were narcissistically abused, and therefore you're, and the symptoms, right? It can look similar to, it can look a lot, actually, it really can. This is the biggest thing. I believe it can look very similar to a narcissistic collapse. So if you're narcissistically abused and then the discard is kind of like what you may perceive as the collapse, like it was a narcissistic collapse. Oh, I was doing bad stuff and I'm a narcissist. And just because you lost that support and that person destroyed your life and your needs are now not met and you're depressed and very, because you can conduct other psychiatric, BPD, PTSD, you can conduct, you can develop these symptoms of systematic gaslighting and narcissistic abuse for a long period of time. So you might think, I have a narcissistic collapse. And I struggle with that one myself, and this is why I can really speak about this topic, because we all have narcissistic tendencies, and if you're with a narcissist and you're getting all this validation and friends and all this like love, and it's like usually pretty superficial, right? But it does feel good, and when that goes away, it can kind of feel like a collapse, and especially to the degree that you haven't done your healing. You're not even empowered yourself and done the healing to have some self-love and be able to be alone with yourself and be able to, trust yourself. So I think it kind of comes down to not just intent, but it's I guess it comes down to, because I think in theory two narcissists get together, because it's not totally uncommon, and there just has to be that that chemistry that enables both parties, essentially, right? Because it's going to be toxic as fuck. And so if both narcissists are devaluing, simultaneously, idealizing, and then one party is getting devaluated, and then it's just like, that is a mess. And then if, I don't think that's very atypical. I think that, that's like, might be the definition of a toxic relationship. Two narcissists or psychopaths, for the sake of argument, say narcissists, because they tend to have more boundary crossing behavior and toxicity, and you got eroticized rage in there, you got all this crap, and basically just it's abuse. They're living the abuse cycle of the the narcissistic abuse onto one another. So it's like a tug of war. It can be very, very stimulating, and like you're in your own reality TV show. It's all about you. You're just doing all the stuff and keeping everything fun, and everything's crazy. And in that case, yeah, I think to some degree, the person that gets out first, gets out, and usually the person that's, I would argue that's the worst person, that gets out and lies and cheats or whatever before, and leads the other person on or whatever, right? That person's not gonna ever change. That's pretty bad. And I think, and that's why it's not ones and zeros, like your narcissistic abuse, that if you had been abused and basically got discarded and had like a collapse, it doesn't have to be either a narcissistic collapse or you're narcissistically abused and now you have now you have all these bad symptoms. And I think just for the sake of definition, I think I took a pretty nuanced approach there, but I think for the sake to kind of keep it separated, that's a song. Like if you like a good example is a CEO that got outed publicly and then they collapse. Like Harvey Weinstein's a great example. That is obviously we don't know what happened behind closed doors exactly, but that is a pretty, because the outside, I think it makes it a little more simple to look at it that way, because it was a public collapse and it was an outside, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter, but for the sake of argument, it wasn't messy relationship stuff. It was an outside public thing, and so maybe that was a narcissistic collapse. But again, and even when I'm saying that, I'm trying to make things all like clean. It's not clean. We don't know what happened behind the closed doors. Some of these people could have been manipulating him. It takes two to tango. It always, or five, or whatever, depending how crazy and psychopathic you are. But so I'm gonna try and be a little bit more solid here to try to help. I tend to get a little bit nuanced and tangential when I try to speak in absolutes. But for the sake of this video, so we can talk about narcissistic injury. That's a lot more straightforward, and that's basically somebody who has narcissistic, NPD, usually like straightforward NPD. They either were triggered objectively or in their own mind. So example would be if you maybe they used to people agreeing with them about everything, and then you come in their life and you go, that's bullshit, and then you might make them have to look at themselves, right? That's usually what it comes down to. And then they'll scream at you, freak out at you, and there's no winning, and it's just like one of those things. And that would be like an objective like interaction. But the perceived injury, the perceived injury to the narcissist ego is you could just be a younger person. Like you could just be your energy, let's say it's a man and another man, and the older man is just intimidated by someone's got is more youthful, or their their energy is just honest, and it keeps making them think about their bullshit, and the longer you're around, the more it hurts them, and then you don't even have to do shit. You can just love them. That can hurt them even more. That's a really, really important thing to understand. That's part of the gaslighting, for sure. Because, you think to yourself, why does this, like, some people just fucking hate me. I'm nothing but loving to them. It's what you represent. And that's the perceived narcissistic injury. Ooh, that's a yellow. So, yeah, so that'd be a narcissistic injury. And, going back to narcissistic abuse versus narcissistic collapse, like, a collapse is like an all-encompassing thing, right? So it's kind of like, it's a situation in which there was a, like, the wording's weird, right? Because narcissistic collapse assumes there's like a breakthrough, not necessarily in a good way, but just like something broke, while as abuse is like ongoing. It could be for life, and it could be for, one time, someone narcissistically abused you today at the coffee shop, like the coffee house. Like, so it's hard to like, I'm not saying it's one or the other, but I'm merely saying that in the dance of a partnership, if you were, I think it's important to, I will make a position here. I don't think it's as much of a dance, actually. Of course it is, but you can't, just because you had narcissistic tendencies and you were being, groomed by a narcissist or whatever, it's like, where is your heart? And that's part of the gaslighting, is like, you know who you are. And even if everyone tells you, this is what's crazy, everyone tells you you're bad, and you lose all your friends, and whatever happens, it's like, what did you really do? Did you want to help? Did you want to suck the life out of it? Like, did you want to be loved? Like, or did you just want, like, needs met, and the person wasn't actually of value? Like, that's where it comes down to me. And it's like, no, if you care about that person, you did not have a narcissistic collapse. You were abused. And that depression and that collapse of your life is not a narcissistic collapse. That is the ultimate gaslight. I almost just fucking took the bait in my own goddamn video. It can't be both. And I'm projecting a lot here, but I'm working it out, and hopefully it can help you guys. Yeah, it can't be both, because even if it started out like that's the beauty of the universe. That is the balance of the universe. If you started out in theory as very, very equal in your narcissistic headspace, your NPD, and the way you looked at people, it might not have been one another, but the way you looked at outsiders, that person, and this is the beauty of it, is that person that injured you, that partner of yours that ultimately got out unscathed, while you took all of the fucking pain and were destroyed, right? You were discarded at your weakest point. You're not gonna know what the fuck happened to you. That's why you're in this video, and you're doing the work, as they say. It's fucking real. I'm gonna run over these kids. That's gonna be real too. So basically, yeah. I said that like very serious, I realized, but it was yeah, that's me being thinking about something serious while thinking out loud at the same time. Yeah, don't want to run over kids, but damn it, I just lost my train of thought. Damn kids playing baseball. It was about to be profound. No, the beauty of the universe. The balance. It's balanced. It's perfectly balanced. Everything happens for a reason, They're not gonna change, People that just go from person to person like a goddamn leech and don't actually want truth. They just want easy. I kind of want to go on a whole other tangent about this. What are we at, 14 minutes? I'll go on the tangent real quick. I think about that, right? The leech, the person that just goes from partner to partner to partner, and immediately my brain goes sexist, which is another way of saying truth and objectivity, because we're not the same. And to the extent that that woman is damaged, this is why I might be a sexist. People have called me whatever. I've done the work. I grew up with the most fucking ridiculous women, manipulated, be manipulated, just fucking brutal. And I don't hate women. I love women. And this is the point, is like that woman, this is, and this is my position, and this is why I believe, like, we have to protect women. Like, women can go from person to person to person to person. They can create, this is, and I'm spitballing, but this is how I feel. They can keep going and just damaging people, damaging men. Really, that's why they call it like the Jezebel spirit. Like, women can have infinite supply. A man can't do it as easily. And so I had it. So what was I talking about? The beauty of the balance of the universe, right? You as a man, and this is why men, we all inherently know men are meant to suffer. That's, we can become better. We can build character. We can heal, and we can do the work and turn that pain into power. I'm sorry, women are a lot of things. They are extremely intelligent, but sometimes to their detriment. I don't think they can heal, and even, I shouldn't say that. Of course, the exception doesn't disprove the rule, but by and large, a woman, because women can choose the easy road in society, it proves that they can't heal the way men, even if they could in their own mind, like just biologically could, societally, biologically, it's the same thing. The path to redemption for a woman is different than a man. They often can choose these easier roads, and that's why, it's so important to protect women at a young age. Like, that is, it gets sadder and sadder, if a woman is just going on and using men. And I've seen it all over town. There are women that have used guys, they bought into this fucking narrative, and those guys are gone. They did this. And no one cares about those guys. That's what happens. But those women are going to be miserable. And that's why, that was kind of a tangent. But when I talk about balance and I talk about, surviving narcissistic abuse, it's different for men and women. And, that can be your power as a man. And yeah, you got to flip it, learn and empathize. That is very sad. Often, I mean, I don't know the stats, but I would think that more men break out of narcissism than women. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. It's not a competition. It's not but I'm just trying to be honest here. And, again, kind of on a tangent with this one, but narcissistic injury, narcissistic collapse, and the difference between collapsing and being narcissistically abused, So, I'll close in saying that if you're in this video, you're still watching, I really appreciate it. Comment whatever you want to. I'm going to start ending videos asking people, or in the middle of the video asking people to give me what you want to talk about. I want to create a dialogue here. From the beginning, I'm just going off the top of my head and just kind of spitballing, as you guys can see, which could be, you can see who I am, but also it doesn't really give you exactly maybe why you clicked on the video. You don't get exactly what maybe you're looking for. So I want to be more helpful. And yeah, in closing, I'll say, yeah, you're in this video. More than likely, it was narcissistic abuse. You weren't a narcissist, and those symptoms are not because you had a collapse. I thought that myself for a long time. And even you saw in the middle of this video, I thought, I tried to almost make an excuse. I tried to almost make it too understanding, but no, it's almost gaslit myself. So yeah, you're not a bad person. More than likely, it was narcissistic abuse. And all that pain was because they didn't want to look at themselves. And that's very sad. And, you gotta wish them well. and keep very strong boundaries. That is part of the abuse. Is them creating that narrative against you. So just know that they're in more pain than you, and that's your power, because you have this, you have your self, and if you don't right now, you're going to, because that's the beauty, that's the balance I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to, trying to give you hope. All right. On that note, boundaries, bros. Later. It's a pretty good catchphrase.